Now let's go ahead and start writing out the Ajax that's gonna do the real job for us. So I'm just gonna say $Ajax just like this, and down here I'm gonna go ahead and pass in the URL that we're gonna be calling. So what URL is it gonna be? Now over here we're going to be creating a URL for it later. As you can see now, we haven't created any view for the filtering of the products and all that, but we're going to be doing that later. But for now, the URL that I'm just going to pass in is going to be filter product. Okay, so filter product. Now take notes, you could call this whatever you want, but whatever you call this should be what you're going to call it in your URL name over here when you create it. Okay, so as simple as that, that's pretty much what we want to do for the URL. Now the next thing that we're going to be needing is data. So what data do we want to pass to the server? Now we want to pass the filter object. So we passed in filter object over here. And the next thing that we're going to be needing is the data type. So what kind of data are we going to be sending? It's going to be a JSON data. Okay. So we'll pass in JSON. And now before send, we want to do something. So before actually everything works, we want to do something. So over here, I'm just going to create a function, just like success function. There is also a before send function and arrow functions, arrow function, something like that. So we started with the before send, and over here what do we want to do? So in the before end, we're just going to go ahead and log something. We're going to log something like sending data or fetching data or loading, something like that. Okay, now when we've done that, now I'm going to go ahead and create a success. Then I'm gonna create function, and in this function, that's where we want to go ahead and append the newly filtered products. Okay, but before, okay, you know what we're going to do is just go ahead and finish up the view before we come over here and round this up. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get back to the view. Right now we've written almost everything that we're going to be using in the JavaScript part of this. I'm going to come over to the view, and I'm going to write a simple view that's going to filter the products. Okay, so in order to start off by writing the view, you could call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call mine filter product, and this as usual is going to take in a request parameter in here, and after that I'm going to say categories. That's just a variable. Now what I want to do is go ahead and get all the categories that a user is passing in from the checkbox. Okay, so I'm going to say category, and I'm going to pass in that array thing because it might be more than one category. Now let me explain thoroughly what this is doing. As I said, this is a variable name. You can call it whatever you want. Now request.get category is simply going to come over here, and it's going to grab any of this that we clicked on. Okay, so now why are we even passing in the square brackets over here? Why don't we just leave it like this? Now we leave things like this if only what you're going to be getting is just one object. Okay, but since you guys saw that from our terminal, rather our comment prompt over here, that we are getting more than one. I'm going to open this up again so you guys can see. As you can see that when we choose more than one category, we now get it in an array. You see, right? So that's why we opened up this over here, so that more than one items could go in here. For example, we chose food category, and we also chose what? Let's say we chose lotion or something like that. So that's why we'll pass this in. But if for any reason what we have is just one category, we're not going to add any other category, then you could just leave this like this. Okay, so just like we've done this also, we could go ahead and also pass in the vendors. And for this one, I'm going to pass in request.get, and alongside request.get, this one, actually what we're going to be doing over here, because we're passing in this square brackets in, is to get the list. Since it's no longer just a single object or data, now it's a list, so we're simply gonna say get list. Okay, so just use this get list method over here, and everything's gonna work fine for you. So this also, I'm gonna say get lists just like that. And for this one, as you all already know, we're gonna go ahead and pass in vendor, and I'm gonna close this off. So let's see what the problem is. Okay, actually get list is supposed to be in parentheses like that. Okay, that was the problem. So this one is going to be category, and that's going to be like that, and this one is going to be in parentheses, this one is going to be vendor, and we're going to pass in the list. Okay, so now guys, when we've done that, that's pretty much what we want to do. Now another thing that we're going to do is go ahead and get all the products and filter it based on the category and vendor that the user is chosen. Okay, so hopefully you understand what I mean. We're going to get all the products. For example, we're going to get I'm going to close this up so we see everything that's happening. We're going to get the body lotion, we're going to get the bananas and the pear, which is getting all the products. Now we're going to filter those products based on whatever checkbox is checked over here, whatever category is checked, or whatever vendor is checked. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now in order to start doing that, what we're going to do is we're just going to get over here and we need to get all the whole products just as I see. So I'm going to say products should be equal to products.objects.all, or we could go ahead and filter, since we are actually okay. I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to say dot filter, and remember we filter by I think active status should be true, something like that. So I'm just going to grab one of these that we'll be using from before. Just give me a sec, let me look for this. So we got this product objects get, and I think that should be for this ones over here. So this is what we want to get over here. I'm just going to grab this published equal to true thing, and I'm going to run down to where we have the filter products view, and I want to paste this down here. Okay, so now when we've done this, that's pretty much what I want to do. And now we could go ahead and order this. So let's order it by the latest one. So I'm going to say order by, and what do we want to order by? We could order by ID, we could order by date, we could order by PID. It's totally up to you. All of them are going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to say dot distinct. So distinct is going to get the exact products that we are actually trying to filter. Okay, simple as that. And even if you don't add it, you're still going to be getting products, but it's just to be more explicit with the query that we are writing. As simple as that. So now when we've done that, we need to check for something. If the length of category is greater than 0, what does that mean? So if I open up my console again, and over here I'm gonna open this up, or rather let me just click on one of these already so you guys would see. So over here, as you can see, the length of category is how many? 2. This is it over here, right? 2. Now if I choose another one over here, now the length of category is going to be 3. Okay, let's open this up. Now what do you notice? 3. So which means it's greater than 0. That means if I come over here and I remove all this, I'm going to remove all this, and I'm going to open this up one more time. Now what is the length of category? As you can see, it's 0. Okay, as you can see, the length is 0, but from over here, as you can see, the length was 3, the length was 2, and so on and so forth. Now we want to check if the length of category is less than 0, which means that a product is actually a category has been clicked on. That's it, right? Because now the length is more than 0. It might be 1, it might be 2, or it might be 3, or it might even be all of them, which means a category has been selected. Then we want to go ahead and show the products. Okay, that's only for categories. Hopefully you guys understand. If category length is greater than 0, we want to show all the whole products based on whatever category is clicked on. As simple as that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write the simple conditional statement. I'm going to say if len over here, and what do we want to say? I'm going to say categories is greater than 0. Okay, now what is this? Actually, what we should do is okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this. Let's just make the categories now a length. So we got the length of the categories. Okay, that's what this is doing. So this len and opacity category is pretty much going to get if it's 3, or if it's 4, or if it's 5, or whatever. But if we leave it like this, now this over here is going to be getting the array. Hopefully you understand. So with the len method, we are counting how many categories we've got. So now if it's greater than 0, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and filter all the products based on the category that is being clicked on. So I'm going to say products should be equal to product, which is this one we filled out over here at the top. Now we are overriding it. Okay, we are not getting this raw one any longer. Now we want to override it based on whatever category that was chosen. Then I'm going to say dot filter, and what do we want to add? We want to say category underscore ID underscore in should be equal to what? Categories. So I know if this is your first time, this is going to look like gibberish to you, but I just want you guys to understand everything that's going on, even if you don't really grab the concept now. With time, everything should sink in. Okay, so this is what we're doing. Product over here, we called it this. Now with this one over here, we are simply hooking onto this one that we've gotten the products from already. Now what we say is filter it by category underscore ID underscore in. Now I know that you might not understand what this is if you're a beginner. This is pretty much used for field lookup. So hopefully you guys know in Python there is this chaining method that goes like this. I can say something like what's the, I can say something like product dot title, right? Dot, I could even say product dot title dot name dot first name, something like that. Hopefully you understand. Or profile dot user dot username dot blah blah. Hopefully you guys understand. This is chaining. Now this is the exact same way field lookup works, exact same way, but you should know when and where to use field lookup and where to use normal Django chaining like this. Now instead of using the dot, what do you notice? I could also use underscore underscore to grab onto the title name or first name. Okay, that's what we did over here. But there is going to be a problem. How I want to get the categories dot title over here. Now that's great, right? We're gonna get categories as title. But how about we say, okay, since Destiny say that we can't, that we can actually also use underscore underscore for, you know, grabbing onto child elements like this. That means over here we could say category underscore title. No, that's not gonna work. You're gonna get an error. Underscore underscore title. That's gonna work. You're gonna get an error. So this is the easiest way I'm gonna explain to you guys now till you further start understanding Django. That's when you know where and the right place to place it. But let's say you're writing a filter now. The one at the left side before the equal to. So take note, this equal to over here is separating everything, right? There's one at the left and there's one at the right. So the one at the left cannot use chaining like this. Hopefully you understand. It cannot use chaining. It's only category, the one at the right that could use chaining. Hopefully you guys understand. So I cannot say something like category.id.in, then I'm gonna say equal to categories dot title, whatever. No, you can't say that. There's gonna be a problem. What you simply need to use is field lookup category underscore underscore id underscore underscore in categories. Now let me even explain what this line is doing. So now each product have a category, right? I'm gonna open this up. Products. We can just open up the model, and over here you can see this category field that we have over here, which means that each product have a category. And if you don't still believe that, I'm gonna scroll down, and what do you notice? This pear is in the category of food, this banana is in the category of food, this lotion is in the category of cosmetics, right? So now each product have their own category. And where is my views.py? That's it over there. So what we simply did is get the category that is that's related to that product that we're trying to get the ID, then check if the ID is in this category over here that we passed in. Now let me explain what's happening. So let's say that this thing over here, let's say that this category underscore underscore ID underscore underscore in, let's say the category was food, right? And the ID of the category is 1. So the ID of the category is 1, which means it's the second one in the index, because you know index in programming goes by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Numbers start from 0 and not 1. Okay, so which means if it's number 1, that means it's second in the list. If it's number 2, that means it's the third in the list, something like that. So let's say the category ID was 1, and over here now when we run this categories thing, do you guys see how it usually gets it? It gets 1, 2, 3. So it gets a list like this with 0, 1, 2. Now the ID is 1, right? So as you can see, this is the number, this is the ID over here, 1. Hopefully you understand. This is the ID 1, which means that this category ID that the user clicked on, which might be this cosmetics over here, right, is actually does actually exist. So that's what it means, okay? But if for any reason now the category ID that the user is trying to access is number 6, and over here when we click on cosmetics, in the whole categories, we cannot even find, I'm going to open this up so you guys can see, in the whole categories we cannot even find ID number 6. As you can see, we can't find ID number 6. That's what this is going to do. It's going to say, okay, grab onto whatever the user is trying to search, grab onto the ID of the category, and check if it exists in what they clicked on. Now does 6 exist over here? No, 6 does not, so it's not going to return anything, okay? But if it exists, then that's when we want to go ahead and return the product. As simple as that. Hopefully you guys understand. If it's still confusing, just drop a comment in the comment section below and I'll try explaining it again. Okay, so I'm also going to do the same thing for vendors. So over here we want to do the same thing. We just want to get the length of the vendors, which is this one that we're passing over here, and we'll filter the products by the vendor ID. Okay, so each vendor have an ID, and if you don't believe that and you think maybe in a way I must be cheating or something, then I'm going to show you guys over here. If we click on Nestlify, And is that Nestify? Yeah, that's Nestify. And we open this up now. As you can see that this vendor over here has its own ID 1. Now if we click on this one, then you're gonna see that it has its own ID 2. Okay, so that's the exact same thing that we did for the categories. That's what we're doing over here, but this time around we're gonna go ahead and filter this by vendor. Okay, vendors. Okay, so now this vendor over here, take a close look. Let me break this down. This vendor over here, this vendor keyword over here is coming from this one that we have over here. This category that you guys could see here is the one that we have over here. This ID that we've got over here is the invisible ID field that all products in Django have got. So I'm going to open up my admin. Hopefully there is no error. I'm going to open up my admin so I can show you guys that each product have their own ID. Okay, so now if I hover on this, what do you notice? This is ID number 2. How about I change this to ID number 1? From over here you can see that it changed it to fresh pair. Okay, so this ID over here is this ID that Django have, but you can't see it over here in the model. You can't see it because it's invisible. Yeah, only way you can see it is if you come over here, open up initials, and I'm just gonna look for products. I'm gonna look for products, and that's it. So I'm just gonna get over here. I'm gonna look for P, and let's match it by the. Okay, so now what do you notice? That's the ID field, but in the model it's invisible. Over here you can see that it started with PID, right? That's the PID that you can see over here, but this is the ID field, but it's invisible. Simple as that. So that's what we are using over there at the top. And finally, the in that you can see over there, this in is pretty much Django thing that checks if whatever category ID that we get is in the categories. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now after we've done all that, I think that's pretty much what I want to do. Now we need to go ahead and finally render this to strings. So now you could call this whatever you want. I'm just gonna call mine context, or you could call it data. I'm just gonna call mine context. I'm gonna say this should be equal to render underscore to underscore strings. Okay, but this render to strings thing, you definitely need to import it at the top. So I'm just gonna scroll all the way to the top, and we need to import that from Django. Make sure that you remove this problem using HTTP response. We are not using it for anything. Whatever you see that we're not using for anything, I'd recommend you remove it. Okay, Stripe review, we're not using that for anything. So we need to import from Django. I think that should be from templates. From Django.template.loader. Hopefully that's it. I want to import render to string. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we import render to string over here. I'm going to remove the S. It's string and not strings. Render to string. I get back here, I remove the S, I open up a parentheses. Now what do we want to add in this render to string thing? What do we want to add? So firstly, what we're going to be adding is the name of the templates that we're going to be using. And now I'm going to call mine call, and I'm going to go into async, and I'm just going to call this product-list. So I'm going to create a folder call. I'm going to create a folder async, and I'm going to create a product-lists.html. Okay. Now in here, I'm going to go ahead and pass in the products. So now there is a lot of ways that you could do this. You could create a context or whatever and pass this in. Actually, I'm going to call this data. Let's just call that data. And one of the ways that we could pass in the products is by coming over here, creating the context, and we could say this should be products, right? Products, and over here I'm just going to pass in product. And in here I'm going to pass in the context, right? So I'm just going to say context. Yeah, that's still going to work perfectly well. And but since we've been doing this, I want to show you guys another way that we could use to do this. I'm just going to comment that out, and over here what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the dictionary directly, and I'm going to pass in products, and over here I'm going to pass in products. So if you take a close look, you're going to see that we passed in the exact same thing over here, but just without the context and the equal to. If you don't still believe that, I'm going to remove all those extra spaces that we got, so you guys can see that that's what we did. What do you notice? That's what we did, right? That's the same thing that we did over here. So that's another way to do this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go ahead and return JSON response, because hopefully you guys know that's what we're working with, JSON response. I'm going to call this JSON response, and in parentheses open up braces. In braces, firstly I'm going to pass in data, that's the key, and I'm also going to pass in the value, which is data. Okay, so whatever you call this over here, pass it in here. Whatever you want to call this, you could call it burrito, as I'll be saying, but make sure that whenever you want to grab onto it over here, that you are using the burrito keyword. Okay, don't worry, we're going to be doing that in a sec. So now when we've done this, I think that's pretty much what we want to do. Now let's go ahead and get back to the okay, before we even do anything, let's go ahead and create this folder. So we want to have a folder async. I'm going to have a HTML file product.list.html. So I'm going to open up core, and I'm going to right click, new file, and I'm going to paste what I copied. So now you see it's created a folder async, and it's created product.list.html. Now what is going to sit in here? So what is going to sit in here is pretty much this. I'm going to collapse this. Now from the for P in product to the N4, you want to copy everything and you want to paste it in here just like that. Now I know you might be like, okay, so what is this doing? Like why are we doing this? Now that's pretty much because you guys know that we're going to be playing a lot with this product over here. I'm going to get back here. So hopefully you guys know that this is what we're going to be playing with, right? We're going to be changing this in real time based on whatever is clicked over here. Now, what we're going to be changing actually is this one over here in this async product list. You could call it Ajax, call it jQuery, whatever you want, but I just called my old folder async. It's not specific to anything. Now that's what we're going to be playing. This is what we're going to be changing automatically in real time. But this one over here, the default product list, is going to be there. So whenever a user refreshes the page, everything goes back to normal. But when they are visiting our site live, they could easily filter products that they want over here. As simple as that. Okay. So now when we've done that, I think that's pretty much what we want to do. I'm going to get back to the function JS, and now let's finish up the filter before we go ahead and start working on something else in this tutorials. So now in here, I could go ahead and pass in response. That's a variable name. That's a parameter. You could pass in whatever you want in there, and we could even just go ahead and log the response so we'll see what we are getting. So I'm going to log response, and now let's refresh this page and try doing that. But I think we don't have any URL yet, so we tend to get an error. I'm going to create a URL path, and I'm going to call this one filter-product. Okay, and now why did I call it filter-product? That's because if you take a close look at the function JS, hey boy, come over here. Now, if you take a close look at this, then you're going to see that this is the URL that we're passing in, right? Filter product. That's why over here, I called it filter product. And I'm also going to go ahead and add in the filter underscore product view that we created from the views.py. And I'm also going to give this a name, and I'm going to call it filter-product. Okay. So there is a lot of way that you could do this. If you don't want to pass in the URL like this, you know that you could create normal Django URL tags like this, pass in core, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to see all those red lines over there. I just want to go with my normal filter product, pass in response, and console log response. So now let's refresh this one more time, and let's give it a hard shot and see if everything is going to work fine. So right now, take note, I'm not expecting to see any products get filtered. I'm still console logging things and hoping that I don't get any error. Okay, so now I'm going to click on food. Okay, we are having an internal server error, but now what do you notice? It's sending data, right? Okay, this is pretty cool. So because the product hasn't been gotten, it keeps sending data. Or okay, instead of sending data, I'm just going to change this to trying to filter products. Okay, so trying to filter products, and this is going to be showing since the success function hasn't been executed. So till the success function get executed, that's when we're going to see something like data filtered successfully, console log data filtered successfully. Okay, so now while this is running, that means something is happening in the background. Till this shows up, that's when everything is working fine, right? So I'm going to refresh this one more time, and we're going to go ahead and choose one of this. As you can see, trying to filter products, which means there is an error over here, as you can see probably. Now I'm going to open this up, and this error is from here. I'm just going to open this up. Oh, what did it say? It says page not found. So I think it's trying to access that URL, right? It's trying to access that URL, but it's not accessing it. So let's see what the problem is. Over here, did we add a slash? Let's try adding a slash. Then let's give this one more hard shot, and hopefully it's gonna work now. So when we've done this, I'm gonna go ahead and click this right again. Okay, one more problem still showing up. It still shows page not found from the console log. It shows that error from over here. It says it can't find filter pro. Hopefully you guys saw that. It's filter products that I passed in the URL, and over here I passed in filter products instead of filter products. Hopefully you guys saw that before me. And I'm gonna go ahead and refresh this one more time, and let's try submitting this. So I'm gonna submit. Okay, now what do you notice? It says data filtered successfully. So hopefully you guys are understanding everything that's going on here. It says trying to filter data. It's filtered the data. As you can see, it's filtered the data over here. It's got the new data based on whatever we are clicking on over here, and it says data filtered successfully. As simple as that. So now what we could do is just go ahead and append the new data that we are getting, the new filter that we're getting based on whatever category that we clicked on. We're going to go ahead and append it over here. Now, how do we do that? So I'm pretty much going to get back to my beloved thing over here that I'm using. Now, I think we finished this up already. We finished this up. We've done all this once already. So this one is just for you. So you could go ahead and read up on all this if you don't understand something later. So this says create a new folder in the core called async. We've done that, right? Then a new template, the async called product list, and copy only the loop of the product and paste here. We will now replace the new filtered products in the main product list using the filtered product ID. Hopefully you understand. I know it's kind of a lot to take in, but what this simply means is that we should go ahead and do what we did over here, which is paste in the for loop. Now we're going to go ahead and get the filtered product. So we're going to replace whatever is it that the user clicked over here, whatever the user clicked, and whatever product is related to that. We're going to replace it. We're going to replace this one with that, and that's template is simply going to be coming from over here, which is this one. So enough talking, let's go ahead and do this. Now I'm going to get back here, and there's just one thing that we need to do. We need to add this ID over here, this ID. So just get back to your main product list, this one over here. Now I'm just going to add an ID over here, ID, and I'm going to say new. I'm just going to say, let's just call it filtered products, or you can call it new filtered product. That's what I want to call it before, but you call it whatever you want. Okay, so filtered products, I'm going to get back to my function JS, and we need to now replace it over here. So how do we do that? Now it's going to be quite easy. Now what we simply need to do is go ahead and grab onto the ID that we just created now. And what is it called? You remember it's called filtered product, right? And we got that. Now what do we want to get? We want to get the HTML. So getting the HTML is just like getting everything that's inside there. So we get the HTML, and now want to simply go ahead and pass in the response dot data. Now let me explain. So this response is this one over here. Now whatever you call this burrito, that means over here you're gonna say console log burrito, and also you're gonna say burrito dot data. Now, why are we passing in this response or burrito? That's because that's what we're passing here. But you're going to be like, okay, where is this data coming from? Now, this data is coming from the views.py over here. Now, this data is pretty much this one over here that we filtered based on all those products. Hopefully, you guys are getting a gist of what's going on already. And I think that should even be it. Let's go ahead and try this out now. Officially we're going to be trying this out, and hopefully we get an error and fix it. Okay, so over here I'm going to click on clothing, and okay, I think there is nothing related to clothing, right? So I'm going to remove that again. Click on cosmetics. Okay, now what do you notice? It shows up the cosmetics. As simple as that. Click on food. Now it shows up only the food, and when we click on cosmetic and food, it brings up everything based on that. And now for the moment of truth, all this is by Nestlify, this is by Xfood, this is by Nestlify. So I want to click on Xfood, and I want to get only the banana, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for that to leave. I'm going to click on Xfood. So I think that's pretty much it. Everything is working perfectly well. But before I go ahead and end off this video, I know that you might be getting an error right now, and yeah, you might be like, come on, it's not working for me, and that's actually normal. So what I want you to do is just compare your code with mine. There is something that's missing. So whenever yours is not working and you are like, come on, I followed you, I did the exact same thing, that means you missed out something. Maybe you missed out a full stop and you called it a comma and you didn't actually see that. It's not going to throw any error. Or maybe instead of adding a comma over here, you skip that, then there's definitely going to be an error. Or something is not just working over here, then do make sure to compare your code with mine. Now, if you've compared your code with mine and everything is the same thing, then you could hit me up. You could drop a comment in the comment section below, or you could chat me up on Instagram or wherever and send your problems. Okay, so one thing that I want you guys to check out for when you're sending a problem is come over here, open up your terminal. Just down here, you should see your error. If there is an active error, you should see your error over here. If there is no error in the terminal, then it's definitely going to be a jQuery error thing. Okay, so remember when we're getting errors from over here, remember when errors were showing up, but right now there is no errors showing up. So the error is going to be showing up something like this. It's going to be a 500 server error. Okay, this is if you got any error, but if you didn't get any error, congratulations. Now what you're going to do is click on this. It's going to show you whatever error you're getting. You're going to just screenshot this and send it to me. Okay, and some of you have actually tried getting to me to help you fix your error, and you were like finding it difficult to upload your code to GitHub or Google Drive and send me the link to help you debug. That's quite easy. All you need to do is open up Google Drive, drag and paste your code and share the link and send it to me, as simple as that, and I'm going to help you debug your problems. So that's going to be it for this video. Do make sure to drop a like, consider subscribing, as it really mean the world to me. And also, if you want to get a template and the source code I will be using in this tutorial, do make sure to check out the link in the description below. They should point you to the right directions to get a template. And until the next time, mad love, peace out.